Alright, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super card game video. Today I want to kind of have a throwback to my shenanigans sort of videos that should be on the screen here, and call it Exploring Archetypes, where I take newer decks or newer archetypes, leaders, whatever, or older ones, different ideas that I've been playing and testing, and sort of talk about it in a discussion. One of the first ones I've been testing out is the new Reboot Masked Saiyan. Shout out to Eric, our crit god. And honestly, this leader has been really fun to build. It's been really fun to play. When I was first playing, like around set 3, set 4, around there, as soon as it came out, it's the same thing with Pan. That's pretty much all I really played. Didn't really play any of the meta decks, any of the format defining decks. So I was really happy to see a reboot come out of it. If you haven't checked it out, it does come out in August, I think probably around the same time as set 14. As of this time of this video, this is right before the ban list. So any of the stuff that I talk about might be banned or might be limited, so who will? Oh well. But it does come out in August. The actual list is actually pretty cool. I don't think there's too many staples within maybe black. That's pretty much the thing I'm looking at, like True Fighting Spirit, Power Burst as a reprint, it's nice. And then SS Tag Team Trunks is also nice to see. Some remote serious bombs is cool too, so all right. We're going to talk about the exclusives that come out, because I pretty much play all of these except for okay, maybe I don't play. I only play 2. But the unison that comes out is just like the Vegex unison, the Gotenks, that you play it out and you have a free marker. I don't really like this one too much. It doesn't do as much as the Gotenks in my opinion. Yes, they do warp something on their field, because I guess Black Masked Saiyan or maybe that type of thing, and then you get rewarded for playing multiple colors, which is pretty much what the deck wants to do for the boost. And then the 1 cost take a life and then spirit boost to restand it. It's pretty much a 15k attacker that you're attacking with twice, and it gives you that 1 cost or that yellow cost that you need for the Broly over here. Here's pretty much the list I've been testing as well. If you don't know, as far as the leader, he's pretty much the same as the last leader, the original leader that is that you burst 3, you can take up to 1 life, which was one of the biggest problems with the previous leader, which I talked about in one of the videos that I had for the reboot. Like, please reboot these leaders. This is one of them. He gains critical and then gets 5k for non-black color. So black color for critical, and then non-black color 5k. You get to untap 1, draw 1, which is nice, and then you swing, draw 1, which is important because if you use spirit boost you can restand it, and then the same thing on the backside. So the concept with this deck in my plan, as far as the game plan, is to basically play out a lot of critical threats, including the leader and dimension support Trunks, which in my opinion, building this deck is probably one of the most fun I've had in a long time, because it is challenging you to get the ratios right, get the archetype right, and get the thing that you want to do right, basically. So there's a couple of ways that you can build Reboot Masked Saiyan. In my opinion, this is the way that I went. You can honestly throw in a number of things like dimension support Trunks and the ape, maybe Belmont, and then throw in the Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta, or yeah, Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta engine, and maybe even some other black stuff. But the real challenge with this leader is that, you know, because it is more of a rainbow or multicolor archetype, you have to include those things in order to get the skills here. And now you might be wondering, and this is probably a test for those who skip to the list and just kind of exit out of the video and then comment why do you play this card. This is actually the new TP. And it is actually insane. But before we get into the specific cards and close out the video, honestly, again, going through the deck real quick, we play the Masked Saiyan, which the new one, you basically -1 to your unison for spirit boost, you -1 marker, you pay 1, and now you have a 15k dual attacker that you can only have unique, which is not that bad, because honestly you can charge this guy and then charge it for being. And then the leader, basically the opponent has to bottom deck a life, or they get to play this card. So you get to discard it, and then now you have something. If they don't do it, as in the bottom deck of life, now you have a blue for this guy over here, which he is unique, which I think this is a really awesome card. Like, when it actually does get off, there's a couple of bad things with it, as in the fact that you have to rely on a unison, which is kind of annoying for spirit boost, but it is a good balancing mechanism, honestly. But he is he's a red card and a black card, which is nice for his own activate main. And then you minus 15k when he's played, and then you pay 1 with 1 spirit boost marker. And then if you have 3 or more energy, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 green, 1 yellow from the drop, warp it. And now this guy is a 30k critical, which is really good. The reason why we play that is because of Heartfelt, and Heartfelt does include itself to be a red and yellow card, which is really nice for this effect. So when you have a dead Heartfelt card, you can play this guy from warp and as well as drop, and now you have a use for milling it out or pitching it for Gotenks or whatever it may be, basically. So these guys aren't dead, the vanillas aren't dead, and we play Koitsukai not only for things like Poutine, things like Topo, things like Blue Baby, things like that, where they are just going to negate and they're going to play out a negate battle card, basically. But also for the Dimension Support Trunks engine, where you just pay 1 and then you bottom deck your vanillas and then you draw 2 new cards. Overall, really cool. And then same thing for Belmont, you play out the multiple threats, and then you Belmont, and now you have a 20k blocker that pops something, which this definitely lacks. And the biggest thing for this girl here, she definitely helps against unisons, which this kind of struggles against, honestly, in my wholehearted opinion, and as well as removal. But both of those things are taken care of for her, and she's a 40k beater. You really can't get her away from the fact of that. And now the card that DBS Deck Planet doesn't have, but is probably one of the strongest cards in this deck. As you notice that we have Belmont for the green, we have this card for the green, and honestly, there's not too many good green cards that you can just naturally throw in and just expect it to be. So playing this as a 4 of, which unfortunately this comes out as a tournament pack, it's understandable, because what it does read is that in Spirit Boost you -1 marker, you counterattack, and then for the duration of the turn, the opponent can only attack with battle cards 1 more time for the turn. So what really happens here is you have a pretty aggressive deck as it is, and then for 1 energy, which I'll talk about in the permanent in a second, you can stop their battle cards, and with Kai with 1 energy at 3 or more energy, you can stop their leader attack and as well as their union. You pretty much stop the whole thing, and you can kind of not so much guarantee another turn, but it's sort of like that pseudo hatch within black now, or at least this leader that you can kind of do, which is crazy to me. Of course, the permanent says if you are a Saiyan leader, it doesn't have to be whatever, just a Saiyan card. It has no specified cost, so you can pay for black, you can play whatever. And then the permanent is that you reduce for each color mono color in your drop and warp by 1. So at most it's 5. And as it says, this meme, black is a color, is hilarious. As you can see, we would have 1 black here, 1 blue here, 1 red or black, but 1 red, 1 green, and 1 yellow. So most of the time you're not going to be wanting to warp the ape, because that's going to be like your turn 2, turn 3 play, and just draw more cards and just have that hand advantage. But also it's going to be the Heartfelt, which is not going to do any good in the drop. I think overall this leader is awesome. I think they did a pretty good job with the reboot. It's not only playable, but it's really fun to build. It is difficult to build because, again, it's the ratios. It's, again, like what works, what doesn't work. This list is probably not going to be the best list ever. It's 55 cards too, which you're jamming pack like everything that you can and just making it as viable as possible. Overall, again, really fun, pretty aggressive. If I have time, I will play it on Twitch, which I'll put on my face here. But let me know what you think overall for the deck. If you have any lists, comment below, and I would love to see them. Until then, I will see you in the next one.